Mike Wofford with you here on this second Saturday of the year 2026. Lots to talk about this morning. We'll be talking with Chuck Graham about high school and also NBA basketball. We're going to be talking with a former head football coach here locally who has a new job. We'll be talking to him a little bit later on. There's also a new head football coach at Gainesville High. We'll be talking about that position. We'll be talking with Harper Bell about football on the high school, college, and pro scene. Last night, the college football playoffs continue. The NFL playoffs start today. And also, we bring you college basketball this afternoon on 97.5 Glory FM. At 4 p.m., it is Georgia State going up against Marshall, only here on 97.5 Glory FM. Welcome to the show this morning. I'm with you until 10 o'clock as we bring you the very best in local sports coverage on the high school, college, and pro scene with a live video stream on our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports. I'm with you until 10 o'clock this morning. You can follow us on our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports. You get a chance to see me work behind the scenes here and see all the challenges that we face at times here on the station. And also, we'll be talking with our guests this morning as we got a lot in store for you. Last night in high school basketball, as you heard right here on 97.5 Glory FM, our first Friday night of high school basketball in 2026. It was North Hall falling to Greater Atlanta Christian in a Region 6 AAA doubleheader with the girls from GAC coming up with a big second half, defeating North Hall 61-21. It was a 2-point game at halftime, but then the Lady Spartans, they shut out North Hall in the third quarter and then won the fourth quarter to win by 20 points, 61-41 in the boys' ball game. It was a 10-point game going in to the final quarter. We thought North Hall might have a chance, but then the Spartans just dominated the fourth quarter of play, outscoring North Hall by 18, and they end up winning 73-45, the final score for GAC over North Hall from last night. In that same region, it was Chesapeake's girls winning their first region game as they were victorious over Dawson County last night. Also, the Dawson County boys, they defeat Chesapeake last night. It was Pickens handing White County their first girls' loss of the season as Pickens completes a region doubleheader sweep against White County, winning both the games over in Jasper. A very tough place to win ball games on the road. And Coach Steve Shedd's team losing their first game in region play last night to the Dragonettes of Pickens. And also it was Lumpkin County sweeping by Johnson last night in Region 6 AAA action. In Region 8 AAA, the big game was in Flowery Branch with Cherokee Bluff taking on East Hall, and it was the Cherokee Bluff girls and boys coming up with a sweep over East Hall last night and that region doubleheader. I'll be talking with Chuck Graham about their games with West Hall and Oconee County from last night in that region. And coming up today in high school basketball, North Hall will be on the road down in Lawrenceville. They'll take on Central Gwinnett in a non-region doubleheader. And then coming up on Tuesday, we'll bring you action from Chesapeake High as Lumpkin County takes on Chesapeake in a region doubleheader, starting with the girls' game at 6 and the boys' game to follow, only here on 97.5 Glory FM. Then next Friday night, we'll bring you the Region 8 AAA matchup between West Hall and East Hall. That takes place next Friday night right here on 97.5 Glory FM, your radio station for North Georgia sports, as we bring you the very best and local sports coverage here. And coming up next, hopefully we're talking with Coach Chuck Graham, the head boys basketball coach at West Hall, about high school basketball, college basketball, and the NBA. All that coming up next on 97.5 Glory FM, on YouTube at Team Glory Sports.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
97.5 Glory FM.
Your radio station for North Georgia Sports. 13 minutes now past 9 o'clock. We go to the phones, talk to our first guest this morning, sort of a co-host of our show now, talking about basketball, Chuck Graham, West Home. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
I'm blessed, brother. About you?
I'm blessed, man. Thanks for having me, buddy.
How'd it go last night?
Well, actually, you know what? It didn't show on the scoreboard, but I was really, and I would say impressed with our guys' effort last night in, trying to do the right thing. I think we took a step in the right direction. But taking nothing away from Oconee County, they hadn't been shooting the ball well. But it seems like everybody comes to West Hall and they find their shooting rhythm. So those guys, they shot the ball extremely well last night. We cut the game down to we were down like double figures, and we cut the game down to like 5 2-possession game. And then, ultimately we made a couple mistakes. A bad shot here and a turnover there, and then we weren't able to overcome. But overall, man, a lot to learn from. So, we'll be back at it, and we got a couple tough games coming up too. Region play. We play Tuesday at Monroe area, which is always tough on the road. And then we go to Valhalla. We end up going to guys will be there.
Yes, sir.
Next Friday night. So always good, to compete against Joe Dix and play a local team, a Hall County team. So looking forward to that, man.
Well, we'll talk about how tough this region is, because last night East Hall loses those 2 games to Cherokee Bluff, and we know what Coach Travis has got down there at Cherokee Bluff right now. Did you hear how Jefferson and Monroe area came out?
Jefferson ended up winning. Jefferson ended up winning the game. Not sure the score, but I know Jefferson won. So this region is super competitive, man. A lot of good coaches. And it's no night off.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Cherokee Bluff has found different ways to win throughout the year. And I think overall they're pretty much a complete team. And I know Josh will probably argue that, but just looking at the experience and some of the guys they've been in certain situations before, so they're always going to be tough. And don't be fooled by the records of most of these teams in the preseason, because Oconee County was like 12-2, and I think that they may be a dark horse in the region, just based on their well coached and their size and their athleticism and ability to shoot, make shots. And Monroe area will be tough. Our next 4 games are on the road.
Yep.
So that's going to provide a different challenge. But, yeah, man, this region, Jefferson is starting to find their niche. Jefferson, especially in 3A basketball, you share a lot of athletes. So
sure.
You have a lot of kids that play football, and getting those kids acclimated back into basketball and roles and, and understanding what we're trying to accomplish and be a part of the team and find their specific niche is sometimes a challenge. But around this time of the year, everything starts to settle in.
Talking with Chuck Graham, the head boys basketball coach at West Hall, our basketball expert here on 97.5 Glory FM. We mentioned it before, Chuck, in your region, we mentioned Region 6 AAA. By the time you get to the Big 32 come playoff time in the state playoffs, the way it is now, is that you're going to see a lot of teams with some records you wouldn't expect, because you're beating up everybody in your region, it seems.
Yes, I mean, I look at teams like, that I think that jump out, and because I still believe like East Hall could actually make a run.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So like I do believe that record-wise, it's sometimes misleading.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Because you take a team like, just for instance, last year, because I thought Cherokee Bluff was, if not the best team in the state, but definitely the best team in our region, especially going into their first round matchup last year. And they play a team from Peach County, which probably was the best 32nd seed I've ever seen. You know, and they were able to come away with the upset, but the records can sometimes be misleading.
Well, look at East Alright. They're 2-12 overall. Our game last night, we had Greater Atlanta Christian. Their boys came in at 3-7 last night. And I went ahead and mentioned the year you were at Gainesville was 0-10 going into Learland, and how things changed. You know, so it's okay. A lot of times the records can be very deceiving.
Well, and it's basically how your kids respond. You know, there's one or two ways. Either you can just pack it up and you know, play the rest of the season out, or you know, you can learn from your mistakes, and because things can change overnight. You know, with a basketball season. That's why I tell our kids, this is a marathon, guys.
Oh, yeah.
So you always have to have a growth mindset and try to develop a learning mentality, and not just, you know, like, and that's how kids get in slumps sometimes, just focusing on the negative. So you have to have a next play, next game mentality to get better.
Oh, absolutely. Great point talking with Chuck Graham. So we'll change gears for a moment with football. You know, Santavius Bryant, the new head football coach at Gainesville. Weren't you at Gainesville when he was there that first year?
Yes, I was, man, and got an opportunity to work alongside of him in a couple of PE classes, man. A solid guy, a young guy, but he's mature beyond his age. And I think that with his unique style of leadership, he's young enough that he can actually speak the language of the kids and relate to them. Mm-hmm. But he's also commands respect from the young guys too. So I think it's a good hire. I think he'll do a great job of continuing to build on what Coach Nibley's brought in.
Well, it tells you something at his age, at 28, and you get an opportunity to coach a school like Grayson, and you lead them to semifinals and a championship in a quarterfinal round this year. And it's like, okay, but he wanted to come back to Gainesville after Adam Lindsay talked to him after Josh Nibley left us last Monday. Were you surprised when you heard about Josh leaving to go to Colorado?
Yes, I was, but I do know that you know, he has the type of personality that can translate to like any level of football.
Oh, absolutely.
So I wasn't necessarily like totally shocked, but I was kind of surprised because I thought he was developing into, you know, like a Gainesville culture that they have over there. I thought he was actually pumping that up and would continue to fight through and to ultimately try to win a championship, which I know they won't. But I mean, I think a good move for him in the state of his life and in his career. I think he'll do well on the college level. But I'm just really excited to see what Santavius can do and build upon that.
Well, on the college level, I heard the big game today, and people pumping it up, is Georgia and South Carolina. What do you think about that one?
Yeah. Well, Georgia had a tough game on the road against Florida.
Yes, they did.
He had one of the big guys. He got ejected, and I think that changed the whole trajectory of the game for the Bulldogs. But Georgia is a resilient bunch, though. I mean, they won a game against Auburn last Saturday, which they were up by 4, and Auburn in the last seconds ended up tying the game and had to go to overtime. And Georgia withstood that. They actually had to win the game twice. They had the game won, and then they get to go to overtime and had to actually ultimately ended up winning again. So they're scoring at a high clip. But I do think South Carolina presents some kind of challenges because they can shoot the ball as well, and defensively South Carolina is one of the better teams in the SEC. So that's going to be a huge basketball game.
All right, so now let's turn the attention to something you and I can talk about for a while here with the Atlanta Hawks and with Trae Young being traded. You and I talked about it before.
I know you and I had talked about Trae and the situation and what was going to happen moving forward. Man, as an Atlanta sports fan and as a Hawks fan, you kind of hate to see a star leave your team. But I do think for both, and sometimes this never really works out, but I think in this case it's actually good because I think Trae needed a reset and a fresh start. And I think the Hawks had realized they probably reached their full capacity or full potential with Trae, especially defensively. And unfortunately for Trey, with him being out and the team moving forward and having a winning record without him.
Yep.
And I do think the glaring hole was on the defensive end, because without Trey, the Hawks were probably one of the better teams in the league in terms of defense.
Yep.
And I can't blame all this on Trey, but I do know in certain times rotations require either, size or speed, and it just wasn't happening with Trey on the floor. But
the big thing is, are they better with him or without him, you think?
I think they're moving forward, bigger picture. I think they're better without him. And the reason why I say that, because now it allows some of these younger guys, because the Hawks are super young now.
Oh, yes.
I think this allows a kid like Jalen Johnson, to be the franchise player, and I think he can. He has the skill set. Now he has to develop the mentality. And then Ricochet, I think this allows him to develop too.
I hope so.
Yeah, because Trey was so ball dominant that sometimes these guys don't get opportunities to actually prove themselves. But now, because Ricochet is only his second year in the league, and he's young and he's developing. But between Johnson and Dyson Daniels, who I think he had a triple-double last night.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, so, I mean, you look at those three guys as the core and the face of the franchise, and what we got back in the trade, I think, will ultimately help if we can keep both of them, because C.J. McCollum gives us a veteran in the locker room, a guy who's been on that stage before and can actually guide some of these younger players.
That'd be helpful.
Corey Crisper, he can provide shooting. I mean, he's a lights-out shooter. So you picked up two guys that can definitely help the team.
But isn't it amazing, Chuck, the amount of money that Trey left? I heard $48 million he was going to get next year if he'd stayed with the Hawks.
Yeah, man, it's insane. Some of these times these guys, they have to bet on themselves to take a step back to make more money. And I do think Trey will help Washington. I mean, it's a
no doubt.
It's a franchise that's building, but I do think they needed a star. I think they haven't had like a guy on that level. When you're talking about an upper echelon guy, and after like John Wall and Bradley Beal left, so to get Trey, I think it'll definitely help them. But I think the Hawks are in a good position now financially. I think they're in a good position with these younger guys just to see can we, make it back into the playoffs and make a run.
I think it was always difficult for Trey, being 19 years old, played 1 year of college, didn't make it in the face of your franchise. That was a lot of pressure. You know all about that. But I always say, friend, last thing for you, we could have had Luka.
Oh, yeah. That always hurts, man. I think I was watching ESPN, somebody brought that up again. Like, we actually traded Luka to get Trey. And you just see the development of Luka, leading the league in scoring and also being a tremendous playmaker. And with his size, I think that,
and that's the big thing is size, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah. The big thing is, at the NBA level, the big thing is size. Now, and that's one of the things I love about Trey, because he was able to be a scorer as well as average about 10 assists a game. So just totally two different styles of game, and I think that the way the Hawks are moving, that this is actually going to be in about 2 or 3 years from now, you'll see it like, okay, well, I understand why they made the trade.
If I live that long, buddy, that's going to be the big thing, to see what the Hawks can do, All right, but appreciate it. We'll see you on Friday night, okay?
All right, I look forward to it, man. God bless.
All right, brother. Thanks much. That is Chuck Graham, the head boys basketball coach at West Ohio, our basketball expert here on 97.5 Glory FM. Coming up next, I got a treat for you. We're going to talk to an old friend who's now got a brand new job in high school football. That comes up next on the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? House feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
97.5 Glory FM.
Your radio station for North Georgia sports. Time to talk a little football. An old friend with a brand new job joining us here with an exclusive interview. Jason Tester, the former head football coach at Flowery Branch, on the phone with us now, who is a new head coach of the Johns Creek Gladiators down in North Fulton County. One of the important things, they're in the same region with Gainesville for the upcoming year. And joining us here by phone is Jason. Hey, Jason, how's it going, buddy? Whoops, one more time. My bad. Hang on, Jason. Now let's try this. Now we go. Got the right buttons pushed. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how are you?
I'm blessed, brother. How about you? Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm definitely excited.
So tell me about the decision to go to Johns Creek. Let you know that my sister lives in that area, and my nephew played quarterback for them, say probably 14, 15, and he didn't get a chance to play it long. He was running one time, and an opposition player went head first, was held right into my nephew's knee and got his career there. But I followed Johns Creek before, and knowing how it has been in the past, but boy, you never know how it's going to happen with a team. This year, they had one of the most unique years of anybody. So tell me about going down there.
Yeah, the decision, the whole process and how it started, I wasn't really looking. I was completely happy with the decision to go to Eastside and call the defense. For me in this profession, it's about, great people and great places, great communities, and just being around, the great kids and enjoying your work. When I was contacted about the job, there were certain things that I think any coach looks at, and you want to look at the school, you want to look at the community, you want to look at the players, the administration, a ton of different factors that go into considering jobs. So I had certain questions that I laid out for them in terms of where they're at. Obviously the story of Johns Creek football last year was one day that there was a ton of interest and people keeping an eye on what was going on over there, and it wasn't a positive thing. And that sometimes that happens. So, I feel for those coaches and those kids. What I've seen on film, is that those kids the body language was there. They were competing every single game, and, that's just that happens in a season sometimes. So
that was a unique situation, though. I've been on a team that's winless for that kind of thing, but Johns Creek had the unique situation. They didn't even score a point last year, right?
Right. Yeah. That's why it just kept growing and growing, and they're extremely young, and that's really kind of the challenge is being able to go in and get those kids believing, working, understand that there's no secret recipe, no magic pixie dust that we can sprinkle to make wins come. It's got to be a matter of winning the process.
And a lot of work too.
Second days. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about the process now. Are you heading from Eastside down there now? Or how's it work out?
My official last day at Eastside will be next Friday.
Okay.
So I was been over there yesterday. I spent some time over at the school and met with the team, met with some of the administrators, and was able to sit down with some of the current staff and talk to them. So starting that process of we got a community meet and greet tomorrow, and so I'll have some conversations there, and we'll roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Well, it's a tough region, friend. You know it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's the challenge. Looking at the who's who of that region with Gainesville and Milton and Roswell, and understanding that that's the target. Those are the top tier programs, and that's what we aspire to be.
Well, I know you and defense is going to be a big thing because they didn't score any points, but if you don't allow any points, you're not going to be in bad shape, right?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, and is playing complementary football. My old mentality as a younger coach was, the team shouldn't score on us, period. But the biggest thing is working to get teams to, get them behind the sticks and off schedule, and forcing them to turn the football back over to us and let our offense control the ball and control the clock. And again, like I said, with complementary football, just play good, sound physical defense and be disciplined on offense and move the chains.
All right, Jason, I want to talk to you, friend. Appreciate it very much. Congratulations again on the job as we go Gladiators. And I think the Coliseum's a fun place to play football. So looking forward to talking with you later, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Congratulations, Jason. That's Jason Tester, the new head football coach of the Johns Creek Gladiators. Again, they're in the same region with Gainesville. We'll have more about that later on right here on 97.5 Glory FM. And we'll be talking next with Harper Bell about high school, college, and pro football. It comes up next on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM.
Chick-fil-A is a proud sponsor of Hall County Athletics and the great student athletes that compete on the fields, courts, tracks, and mats. Chick-fil-A was introduced into Hall County way back in 1987 at Lakeshore Mall. Throughout the years, they've been blessed to develop countless relationships with the schools here in Hall County. They're thanking everyone for their support of Chick-fil-A, which allows them to help support our schools, coaches, and student athletes. In Gainesville, you'll find Chick-fil-A on Jesse Jewell Parkway. Eat more chicken!
The landscape of North Georgia continues to change, and when you're looking to buy a home or land, you need someone who knows the real estate market. Turn to Chris McCall Realty. Chris has been serving the Hall and surrounding counties for 27 years. He specializes in residential real estate. Whether it's home, land, acreage, or farms, customer satisfaction is most important to him. Find out more today. Log online to McCallProperties.com.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Even though you're not on the field or the court, you can still dress like a Panther by visiting the Georgia State University bookstore. Located downtown, right in the heart of campus, in the Student Center at 66 Cortlandt Street. Shop official Under Armour apparel and the best selection of gifts and collectibles. Also, visit their location at Center Park Stadium on game days and wear what the Panthers wear.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM, trying to get in touch with Harper Bell, now trying to get in touch with Dave Cohen to help us out here. So we got much more hopefully coming up next here on 97.5 Glory FM. And I think I may have Dave Cohen to help me out here. Just want you there, David? All right, hang on. I'll get you on the radio in just a second here. So I'm trying to work things out. Harper not available right now. We're going to talk a lot about football. May have a short interview here with Dave Cohen talking about our game this afternoon at 4 p.m. We'll have Georgia State basketball. It'll be Georgia State and Marshall. All right, here we got to go. Hey there. How's it going there, David?
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to have you with us here. I was going to talk to you at the end of the show, but Harper right now not available, so you and I get a chance to talk about basketball. Back on Thursday night, it was Georgia State falling to Appalachian State by 2 after beating them up in Boone this over a couple weeks ago. Now you've got Marshall, a team you beat this last Saturday, and playing them again today.
Yeah, well, we just recently made that, Georgia State played the first 4 Sun Belt Conference games on the road. We were at Marshall, a week and a half ago on a Wednesday night at the start of the Marshall Coastal Carolina trip.
Coastal Carolina,
and,
you're right. Marshall,
got down early up there in West Virginia and managed to come back and take a lead, a small lead at halftime. And then ended up losing at Marshall 84-80. And then, pulled out a nice win, 89-71 at Coastal Carolina. So now the tables flip, and after playing the first 4 conference games on the road, 4 of the next 5 games for Jonas Hayes and the Panthers are at home with one game to Louisiana Monroe on the road, kind of sandwiched in between. So yeah, Marshall returns the game today, and you know they're 11-5, right there, hovering around the top, right behind Arkansas State, Georgia Southern. For the top spots in the Sun Belt Conference, and Georgia State really let one get away the other night against Appalachian State. They had the opportunity to really sweep the two-game series this year, and after beating them up in Boone, lost a low-scoring game, 52-50, Thursday night down here at the Convocation Center. So they get an opportunity to bounce back, but, you know, as I said to more than one person, Mike, after the game, you can't keep losing home games.
Good point.
They've got to create a way, you know, got to come up with a way to win these home games and do what they had been doing, which was splitting the two-game road trips.
Yep,
but,
good point.
you know, that was a tough loss the other night. And, you know, as Jonas Hayes told me, and as you heard on the Georgia State basketball practice report that ran on Friday, Georgia State, you know, got beat on the glass. They gave up 17 offensive rebounds. And you know what offensive rebounds can lead to. That's, you know, extra opportunities to score.
Yep.
And, you know, that was a game where even if you cut that number in half, you got a pretty good chance to win that ball game.
Oh, sure.
Georgia State had a hard time with their two post players, and Michael Marcus and Luke Wilson both dominating on the boards. Wilson had a double-double with 12 rebounds. And, you know, ultimately that was the difference in the game, rebounding the basketball.
Well, let's see what we can do today, because last Saturday was something very special, hitting 14 out of 15 three-pointers and then scoring 64 points in that second half. It'd be nice to do that again today.
Well, that was a breakout game for Malachi Brown, who'd really been struggling to build his confidence back up with his shot. I don't know if you remember last year, kind of down the stretch. You know, he, for all intents and purposes last year, he was, you know, still a freshman,
sure,
having played his first year up at Seton Hall. But he didn't really play that much at Seton Hall, so that I'm sure factored into why he ended up transferring, you know, back to Atlanta and back to Georgia State. But he finished the season strong last year, went into the portal for whatever reason, ultimately came out of the portal and made the decision to stay at Georgia State. Had a really good season, a really good off season, I should say, you know, getting ready for the 25-26 campaign that we're in right now. But for the most part, has struggled to shoot the basketball the way he did down the stretch last year. Well, he finally had that breakout game over at Coastal Carolina last Saturday with 23 points. And you're right, Georgia State ended up with like, what was it, a 64-point second half?
Yes, it was.
14 of 15.
Yep.
14 of 15 behind the three-point line. That really was kind of a special afternoon. You don't see very many of those. You don't see very many 64-point second halves, but they managed to get out of Conway with a W. And, you know, so at that point, you're riding a little high confidence-wise, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, we got 4 of the next 5 games in Atlanta. Now's the time to build up a little, you know, build up a little momentum in the win column. And then what happens? We come back and, you know, we end up in a low-scoring game against Appalachian State and lose 52-50.
All right, let's get a W today, okay? 4 o'clock, Marshall, the Thundering Herd out of Huntington, West Virginia, taking on the Georgia State Panthers. We'll have the call for you with Dave at 4 p.m. right here on 97.5 Glory FM. Thanks so much. We'll talk later, okay?
All right, Mike, thank you.
I appreciate it very much. That is Dave Cohen. He is the voice of Georgia State. You can follow him on X at GA State Voice. And coming up next, we'll talk with Harper LaBelle. We'll wrap up the show talking about a lot about football coming up next on the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Buford, Bushton, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue.
Hey, we're back with the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. We go to the phones now and talk with Harper Bell. A lot of talk about football this morning here. Hey, Harper.
My goodness, Mike, yeah. If you didn't watch last night or Thursday night's game and you want to watch some NFL action at 4:30 with Carolina and later on Chicago and Green Bay, goodness gracious, there's a lot of good stuff going on.
So first off, is Indiana just going to be the national champion, you think?
Boy, if they don't, hey, what's the over-under and how many times? Remember when Taylor Swift used to be the big thing that you'd watch on, hey, the Chiefs are on, and how many times is they have? Now it's Kurt Signetti. Goodness gracious, they couldn't keep their eyes off the guy, and leave him alone, just let him coach. But every other shot was of him, and you know, it's not a surprise, Mike. You've been aware of him for the last couple of years, what he did at James Madison, and how soon he's done it in Indiana is, I think, a surprise to everybody, because he doesn't have these five-star guys all over his roster like Ohio State does, like Alabama does. He's got a bunch of threes.
Isn't it the thing, though, the people trying to figure out why is he doing what he's doing? How is he doing what he's doing? A lot of people just don't understand and are buying into Indiana. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah, well, X's and O's. They make fewer mistakes than you do. And when a mistake is made, you can see how angry he gets, because that's not what they coach. And they spend massive amounts of time on doing things the right way. And my three-star guy, who's 6'2", 280, who I lost, that kid didn't go to Alabama because that kid's 6'6" and 310. You know what I mean? It's just
sure.
I've got the next size down.
Yep.
But we're playing hard, and look what happens when you do it the right way.
And they're doing it that way. As last night, it was all in the end of defeating Oregon, 56-22, the final score, a 35-7 halftime advantage, and you knew the game was over at that point, just finishing out the second half. They'll take on the surprise Miami team, which won their game back on Thursday in dramatic fashion against Ole Miss, 31-27. But what amazed me is the amount of time the Hurricanes were on the field back on Thursday.
Yeah, it was. That was such a good game to watch, especially the second half. It was just whoever had the possession last. And Mike, I don't know what. Remember how we used to debate what a catch was, and the officials and the league and ruling? Well, now I don't know what pass interference is.
No,
I have no
nobody
idea
knows
what pass interference is. If you have your hands draped all over a guy before he has a chance to make a catch, that is not pass interference anymore. So I thought it was. I'm an idiot. I have no idea what the rules are, and it's just it's a shame that it came down to something like that. And an SEC school especially, we know down here in the Deep South know how good the football is, but for the third year in a row now, there's no representative in the SEC.
Isn't
it's
it
very
crazy?
Interesting how the Big Ten will have somebody and the SEC will not.
Isn't it something? And what they say in a sense, they're letting them play, Harper. Yeah, it's like, okay, but where's that line drawn? What's the penalty anymore, you know?
Well, if I can't complete a pass because somebody else has got his arm in the way of my receiver's hands, or grabbing one of them, or knocking him down to the ground, and that's not a penalty, then don't call penalties. So
exactly.
Let's just not do that.
Yep.
So I don't know how to fix it, Mike. I really don't, because it's different from one crew to another, and it shouldn't be.
Yep.
But I don't know how to solve that problem, because if you're going to throw it. And if you're not, then why do you have your flag in the first place?
So in the big thing coming up now, the national championship game, Miami, Carson Beck taking on Indiana, and you can try to name anybody from Indiana who's you're not a big college football fan from the standpoint of the Big Ten. Are they going to play the game in Miami? Isn't that where the championship is being played?
Yes, it is, absolutely. It's without a doubt a very lucky advantage. If they had a Big Ten championship at Ford Field, and Michigan were in it, it'd be different. But luck of the draw. They almost didn't get in, Mike. Remember the ACC championship was between Virginia and Duke. Miami was just they didn't even win their conference. And when Duke wins it, you can't let a 4-loss team into the playoff. Then you let everybody do it. So the politics of how the decision is made versus the reality of the final decision and the vote, sometimes it doesn't always make sense.
So what doesn't make sense a lot of times is now the next level is pro football, the NFL. It's going to be, I think, a lot of fun because it's things wide open, isn't it, when it comes to the NFL playoffs?
Well, fun if you're LA Ram today, right? Going to Carolina, you're a 10.5-point favorite. I don't really like looking at the line, but you can't avoid it. It's there. 10.5 points for a playoff game, but Carolina's one of those teams. They beat them just a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
About a month ago, they beat the Rams in Carolina. So they have plenty to be thankful for, especially because the Falcons ended up beating the Saints and knocked the Buccaneers out. But they're in, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know if it'll be a sellout. I just don't. I'm sure they will want to sell a lot of tickets, but who's going to get excited about a team that's lost, 3 of their last 4 and backed their way into the playoffs because of a Falcon win? It doesn't make any sense.
No, I agree totally from that standpoint. So you got the Rams and you got the Carolina Panthers. In with probably the most entertaining games going to be Green Bay and Chicago.
Yeah, those guys know each other so well, Mike. They can probably finish each other's sentences and know what they're going to eat for breakfast tomorrow. But I don't know if it's going to be a high-scoring or a low-scoring game. The thing is, Chicago can run the ball. They haven't done it very well lately, but they can. They're capable of it. And I think it's a cold game. Chicago hosting. The fans are going to be, think of a time in the last 40 years, other than when the 85 Bears were on the field, that everybody in the world knew how good they were. This is not that same team. This is a surprise. So if they get behind early, I don't think they're going to get booed. I think the fans are just going to be silent and go, well, maybe next year. We're good now, but we're going to get better. We need one more left tackle. We need a linebacker. Little things like that. But Green Bay is back in there. They've lost 4 in a row. So this is a battle of two teams that are in it. They've known they're going to be in it for at least a month, but now it's time to turn it on at a different level.
Isn't the surprise just the head coach there at Chicago and how quickly he turned things around?
Yeah, I know everyone in Detroit's going, you see, that's our guy. You took our guy and look what he did. And we didn't make the playoffs. Oddly enough, the NFC North, every team had a winning record. And the worst team in the division was the one that won it last year, is Detroit. So interesting perspective there. But Johnson is a heck of a coach. And he's, it's such a fragile locker room environment where you get guys that can believe in a different way than they did previously. And it carries over from training camp into the first month and then into the last month, and they know they can win, and they do. And guess what? You're hosting a playoff game.
Talking to Harper Bell this morning, our football expert on all levels. Before I go any further with the NFL, take a step back. You can talk about what you just mentioned there. New football coach at Gainesville High. Young guy, 31 years old, Harper, and he gets his second head coaching job. Your first job's at Grayson, and you're in the playoffs deep 3 straight years, semifinals, state championship, quarterfinals, and now you come back to Gainesville where you were an assistant with Josh Niblett back in 2022. And it's like, okay, Coach Bryant's got something going for him that really, it seems like people want to play for him, don't they?
Young coach, enthusiastic, he can relate to the players. I remember when I first started coaching, my brother, who's 10 years younger than I am, I told a story once about going to the prom or asking a girl out to the homecoming dance and how difficult that could be for a young guy who's kind of nervous and has never done something like that. I had every kid in there looking at me like a cow at a new gate. Why is he talking about this? And you just learn to relate to guys and what they're going through in a different manner. When you're 31, you're not that far removed from what it was like when you were 15 or 18, not like a 50-year-old coach does. And sometimes that you're able to connect in a different way. And again, I've said this for years, Mike, if I know that a coach loves me, he cares about me, he's interested in my success, he wants me to be better. I don't like it, but he has my approval to yell at me and get me to and push me harder than a coach that doesn't like me at all. So if you can establish that type of relationship with your kids, it's not that you're being hard on them because you don't like them. It's because you want them to get better than where they are today, and you can't do that until you stretch them, and some kids don't like to be stretched. So having the ability to do that is a real important key to maintaining your locker room, and then obviously, getting the best that you can out of each and every player to allow you to win.
You heard my interviews with Coach Josh Nibble during Game Plan, our pregame show, every Friday night for the past 4 years, and really enjoyed talking with him and had a great relationship with Josh Nibble, and all the best to him. And that's why he kept talking about, he said, at least kids know we love them. More than anything, hey, in the morning, and then when they leave you at night, we love you. And it was like, then, as you said, they know that the coaches got you back from that standpoint. And I encourage you to go to a podcast. It's Behind the G, the Gainesville High School Athletic podcast. You get a chance to hear the last interview with Coach Josh Niblett, and then also this first one with Coach Santavius Bryant. And with that, hey, you can always go to the podcast that Harper hosts, 100 Yards of Football. Got some great interviews on that podcast. You learn a lot about football and other sports with Harper and his other guest hosts that are on that podcast, 100 Yards of Football. When we look at football right now, Harper, with this first round of the NFL playoffs, can it be similar to the college ranks, whereas if you get a bye, it's going to hurt you in the NFL playoffs?
Well, the 26 days that Georgia, that Texas Tech, and who else am I thinking of?
Ohio State.
Ohio State, of course. Yeah, they sure seem like they struggled in a way that Indiana didn't. Indiana got right after it, and I can't imagine what their practices were like. Probably closed, probably hard. Guys like training camp environment that don't like that. But guess what? The results are they're playing for a national championship. So you can't argue with the success that he's had. I know for a fact that when I was playing, and that was 150,000 years ago, getting that bye was an important piece of what you were striving for.
Yes.
It wasn't just the record. It was, I want a week to get off my legs.
Yes.
And not have to work so hard, and then go back to work.
Yep.
Film study, yes. Talking about your game plan and doing things mentally in a chair, in an office, in a film room, yes, but not on the field. And that tends to be a lot different. You get fresh legs, and 1 week off in the NFL is a lifesaver for a lot of guys. They come out, they play fast, they play reinvigorated and rejuvenated. It's just a wonderful way to get. So Seattle, of course, Denver, of course, get to watch and see everybody else beat each other up for playoff implications. If you play much harder, the hits are going to be a lot more severe today and tomorrow and Monday night. But Denver and Seattle are going to get to reap the benefit of that, where they're not bruised up.
And they could be Super Bowl 60 coming up in about a month from now. All right, let's wrap up. We've got 5 minutes now to wrap things up. The Atlanta Falcons. How much turmoil is there right now with this Falcons organization?
I'm sorry, Mike, I did not listen to the press conference that Arthur Blank hosted
Nor
a couple
did I.
days ago. Sorry about that. And because I've heard the message, hey, we're here with our fans. We want to take care of our fans. We want our fans to be blah, blah, blah. But he also has a locker room that is in need of some direction. I don't know how much change you make. You had 4 guys that are eligible for the Pro Bowl. That's not a bad way to look at it. There's people across the country that like watching the Falcons play, but boy, that middle of the season where they couldn't beat anybody, there are consequences to that. And that means that your general manager and your head coach and a lot of that staff are going to be gone forever. And you got to rebuild again after 2 or 3 years. And we did it after Arthur Smith after 2 or 3 years. And we did it after Dan Quinn after 3 or 5 years. So is Harbaugh the guy? Sure. Bring him in. Let's see what he can do. Is there another guy? Yeah, there are plenty of them. Do you bring Belichick in? You interviewed him twice last year. I don't know, Mike. I don't know what the team's going to do.
Well, here's the big thing for me, Harper. If I could, let me interrupt you for a second. Go back to one thing. And I compared this with Ted Turner, and he bought the Atlanta Braves 50 years ago, earlier this week. That's how the history was. I think he found out that
he could be a communication guy in TV, but he wasn't a hands-on guy when it came to baseball. Then he got the right people in. To me, if Arthur Blank would say, okay, yeah, I've done some great things at Home Depot, but let me just step away because I don't know how to do football. Let me get the right people in, and y'all just make the money for me, make the team a winner, that kind of thing, and I'll say, okay, great job. Because from day one, when he didn't stay with Dan Reeves, and he keeps his finger in it, like the one thing he did say, Harper, the other day, is that Michael Penix is his guy. So, okay, you look at everything else, but you're, as the owner, saying Penix is the man. So right there, you're putting your influence in what does a new coach, new general manager come in and say, well, is Michael Penix the man or not? But the owner says he is, and you got that kind of problem, don't you?
Yeah, there's the philosophy that Bill Parcells used to have. He goes, if you want me to be the cook, then why don't you let me go shopping and get the recipe with the ingredients? And that's where a general manager and a coach need to work together in a way that is productive, and the results have to speak for themselves. You are what your record says you are, and that hasn't changed since the beginning of the league 105 years ago. So, Jerry Jones, for example, had his arms around Jimmy when they were winning championships in the mid-'90s.
Mm-hmm.
And he took over in '89 or '90. That's when he bought the team.
Mm-hmm.
When Jerry did. And he was a part of it. And 4 or 5 years later, some great things happened. They win 3 out of 4. They haven't won since.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Snyder in Washington, he buys a team and he changes the coach and 3 or 4 of their free agents every year. He spends all this money. He's not even in the league anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Some owners, like the Maras in New York, just keep their hands out of it. And occasionally you strike gold and you win. The McCaskey family, the Hallis family in Chicago. There's all kinds of amazing owner stories that are out there, but really it's your head coach and your general manager that put these guys on the field, and how you coach them, it changes. Your chance is 1 in 32 every year, but it's some teams don't have a chance at all. They're not going to make the playoffs or get into it. They just don't have the right people. So it's a difficult thing, and look at what Mike Vrabel's done, quietly putting himself in for Coach of the Year, Mike. It's amazing when you stop to think about it, and same with Sean Payton in Denver. He ran out of time in New Orleans, but he's a good coach, and they're going to be playing for it. So I'm long-winded. I apologize for that.
No, that's what I want.
Got to make a good decision, and you got to make the right one, or else guess what? 3 years from now, you're going to have another press conference and say we're going to do it all over again. People are getting tired of it.
Yeah, first press conference is Matt Ryan going to be your president of operations from that standpoint. We'll find it next week, but I appreciate it very much. It's 10 o'clock, and this is WGTJ, Murrayville, Gainesville, and W248DL, Murrayville, Gainesville. That's the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
Within the Justice Department to investigate allegations of fraud, here's White House correspondent Greg Clugston.